Good evening, welcome to this week's edition of CopaLoadofRacing, where we're obviously going to be looking at the Ayr Gold Cup tomorrow and a few of the other races on the card at Ayr for their big day on the flat. I'll also pick out a race at Newbury and Newmarket and a brief look at Sunday's card at Hamilton, where they've got some decent action on Sunday and Monday as well. So we've had 2 days of Ayr's Western meeting, as we like to call it up here. It's been not the greatest punting wise. Thursday was an absolute disaster, if the truth be told. I tipped Carol Butt's horse in the first. It was at 50 to 1 and it finished a very close third. So getting that each way was okay, and I thought that started the day pretty well. But it was a few seconds in there and a few close things, but in the main, disappointing. Today, Dave Dexter won for Rafe Beckett, who's having a magnificent 2 days so far. He was actually at the track on Thursday, I'd seen. And I did think to myself, it is unusual maybe to see Rafe up at Ayr. So he must have, Dolphin Vista of course won the Downside Cup on Thursday, and then he had another 2 winners today. So 2 listed victories there for Rafe Beckett. A real, obviously, big, big 2 victories there for him coming up north and taking those prizes back down south, which the prize money is there to be won, and Rafe, the 2 horses really maybe were found benefit obviously for the ground. Testing conditions obviously Ayr, heavy soft in places, but there's no real major problems with it. I'll tell you one thing though, at Ayr, it's been absolutely freezing, and really cold. It's like a November or a January meeting at Ayr. It has been this week, but it's been really competitive racing as you would expect. More of that today again, and of course tomorrow is just going to be much more the same. So if you're going to Ayr, enjoy it. One wee thing that is a little bit of a bugbear of mine's for Ayr, and they maybe could take note, is they don't have a great variety at the bar in terms of on lager on tap. It's just Tennent's. That's it. If you're not a big fan of Tennent's lager, which even as a Scotsman I am no big fan, particularly in a plastic cup. I would just like a lot of other tracks, leaving Musselburgh and that, have at least one other option in terms of a beer. And you go to places like York, for example, and they've got bars that will give you a Heineken or you can get your Carlin or your Stella or whatever it may be, but at least that their bars offer up something different. Now I get that Ayr probably has a deal with Caledonian breweries, Tennent's breweries, but at least Tennent's do have other lagers on tap like Heatherly and things like that, and it'd be just a good wee shout maybe to just, even in 1 or 2 of the bars, have a different lager on tap, just to be a bit different from just Tennent's. It's just, after a while, after 3 or 4 pints of it, you're like, oh, really? So just a wee foot that, because it's not my favourite lager, and to some it is, but really I would like it to see. I'm not taking it out of the bars, of course not, but give us something different. I'm not one to go and drink bottled beers at the racing. I know that they have different bottled beers in offer, but give us a different variety in your pints, please. Anyway, let's move on to the action, and first race I'm going to look at Ayr tomorrow is the 2 o'clock. This mile handicap. The horse that I've picked out here, he's been off the track for a wee while. Is Chates for Alan King. Famous colours. I think they've been carried by the likes of a hate doing that. I see something and then I think, he's been carried by the grey horse that Alan King had that jumped the fences, ran in the Gold Cup and what have you, and terrible. It's gone. Ran in the World Hurdle a couple of times and didn't disgrace itself at all. And it's just completely went out of my head. Anyway, Alan King, Chate's here. He's had a bit of a break, as I say. Has run over hurdles, as you can imagine, for Alan King. And I just think it has a decent chance because it will enjoy the ground. Conditions won't be a problem for it. And Alan King's in decent form. So I think Chate's could run well at a decent price in the 2 o'clock. Right, looking at the 240, it's the first of these big handicaps. It's the Silver Cup. And yeah, it is tough. There's no doubt about that. Now Mickey Stibbery, he's been at the track. He loves going to Ayr, of course, and he's really keen on the chances. A quick look in this race. Spoke about it today in very glowing terms. Thinks it's going to win. Will be suited by conditions. It's got a £7 claimer on its back. It's going for this hat trick of wins. So really has a real good chance. Won last time out at Ripon, and I think a few people are tipping this horse up, and Mickey Stibbery hasn't put anybody off. So there's been a bit of money, I think, coming for that tonight, and there'll probably be more of it tomorrow, because the trainer is really. I know Mick's quite a eccentric type of guy. Wears his heart on his sleeve and is very much always very positive about a bit, not all the time, but today was really positive on its chances. So that's a quick look. But I think Dakota Gold could run well in this as well. Ran last week at Doncaster. I tipped it up in the Portland. Didn't show best effect in that race, but there was nothing in it to suggest to me that he's on a downward spiral or anything. I still think this horse is going in the right direction. So I think that Dakota Gold could run well as well. Maybe 2 of them there. Maybe Dakota Gold each way value. Moving on to 3:15, the only group race in Scottish racing, which is a little bit of bugbear of mine because it is the only group race now. It's a Group 3 for Clyde Stakes for 2-year-old fillies. I'm going to pick out. It's really wide open race. The listed races that we've had so far at Ayr, been great fields, but and they have been really wide open. A lot of them really good fields, strong fields. Maybe a few surprises with some of the winners, but and this would be one as well. Glass Slippers, one not what I would say a major, obviously not a big race at Chester. Beat Like My Fire, who reopposes tomorrow. But I think in a race, in the times gone by, this hasn't been one of the strongest group races, I have to say, in terms of the winner coming out of it in recent years and going on and really being for example, a 1,000 guineas horse or anything like that to that effect. But it can spring a surprise, this race, and so Glass Slippers would be one that I would suggest could run well at a decent price. Right, on to the big race itself, 350, the Ayr Gold Cup. I had the headache handicap of all time. Right, I've been looking at a few old favourites of mine. So I was thinking about George Bowen, who won the Scottish Stewards Cup. For Richard Fahey. I was thinking about Cumbrella for Richard Fahey as well. Get Knotted, Michael Dodds. Michael Dodds said today that he would have preferred if Get Knotted was in the Silver Cup. He's got a lower weight in the Gold Cup, but he feels obviously it's a stronger race. Obviously, the Gold Cup, of course, it is. So he would have preferred if they got into the Silver Cup, he feels he would have had a better chance in that. In saying that, he's a horse that's done really well over 7 furlongs, particularly at York. 7 furlongs horses tend to do really well in the Gold Cup, particularly under the conditions that you're going to get tomorrow. So I would, I wouldn't be greatly put off by anything, but Michael Dodds didn't seem too enamoured with its chances tomorrow, but we'll see. But I've kind of drawn a line through the other horses that I've looked at, and one of them I have backed a few times this year. It's kind of getting to the stage like the Chinese Spirit, who I tipped up in Thursday. Thought he was going to come and win, but it just didn't happen. And Growl's another one of these horses that I'm falling off the edge of a cliff here. He's been third the last 3 races. Was second in this race a few years ago behind Brando, who went on to great things. Growl followed that. Both him and Brando went on really well. I think Growl was placed in the champion sprint at Ascot after it in soft conditions. Ground's never really a problem for Growl, I would say. It's the pick. Well, Hannigan's picked it. George Bowen's probably got the better form out of him coming into this race, but he's carrying a bit more weight, and probably Fahey's that's why he's put a claimer on that. But Growl has a bit of class about him, and maybe tomorrow might be the day. And I think a lot of people are thinking that because he has shortened up a bit in the market. Another 2 that I'll pick out, Tim Easterby's Staxton. I think will enjoy conditions. I think he's got an each way shout. One back in July at Newmarket. But these horses have been facing up to each other a lot throughout the past season or two. They're all very familiar with each other. It's one of those things that you could run it again tomorrow, on Sunday and Monday, and you would get different winners. But I think Staxton has a shout each way. Another trainer who has a really good record in this, of course, is Kevin Ryan. And he's got a few bullets to fire, of course, he has. The one that I like out of them is Tommy Taylor. He's in good heart, and, the ground again, I don't think will be a problem for him. And yeah, I think out of the Kevin Ryan runners at a bit of a price, I think this is the one that I'll put a bit of money each way towards. So yeah, Tommy Taylor and Staxton each way I think can run pretty well in this, and Growl maybe win the nose. But if you're betting at bigger stakes, then yeah, I would say still each way for Growl. He'll run his race, as I say, he's been third at the last 3 outings. And we've seen him in the likes of the St Wilfrid's, the Stewards Cup, and he's ran well in big fields, but he's ran decent at Chester as well. So he's hit the crossbar a few times, so he's still, I think, in that form that you could think there's a big one in there, and that might be tomorrow. We'll see. Another couple of horses I'll pick out for tomorrow. 455 Stamp Hill for Fahey again. This horse will love conditions, and I think will run a really good race. And in the last, the 5:30, the Hamilton winner for Michael Dodds, Archie's Affair, I think could prove to be a horse with a good shout. I think he's second favourite at the moment in the market, and you'd get a price about 4 or 5 to 1 for him. I thought he ran well, dug in deep at Hamilton last time out, and should go well again tomorrow in the 5:30. Right, looking on to Newbury, they have a good card, their Dubai duty free sponsored card. I'll look at the 5 furlong sprint, the Group 3 race there, and Take Cover won this race last year, but he's always been a decent enough, he's been a good horse, of course he has, but I think he's back in decent, in good form. He won the Beverley Bullet, of course, And I think, as I say, he's a horse that seems to, I think he finished behind Batash at Goodwood. Been a bit of cut in the ground at Newbury, and I don't think that'll be a major problem for him. So I think take cover out of the rest. He could be the one that might take the conditions better than others, because I think there's still a bit more rain forecast for Newbury tomorrow as well. So we'll see. Take cover in the 3:30 there. Over at Newmarket, they've got their Cesarovic trial at 3:55, and I picked an Alan King horse in the first tip in the Ayr tomorrow. He's got Coeur de Lion in this race. He was second in this race last year, beat by stablemate in fact. It's decent effort since this season. Seems in good heart, and I think that a few of them, Tony Martin's coming over the way a horse as well. That he seems to be, he's a trainer. He's a wily old fox. He's always targeting these types of races and comes into it off a handy mark. But I think Coeur de Lion, is off a decent weight as well. And I think it's Kieran Schumacher takes a ride. Or does he? Is he on the Tony Martin horse? Whatever. But I think Coeur de Lion has a good chance in the 3:55. Right, looking at Hamilton, they've got a meeting on Sunday and Monday. We'll be off there on Sunday. Ground currently at Hamilton is soft, heavy in places. Thankfully, the rain that was forecast for Sunday seems to be heading further south than what it might have been. So that's a bit of a relief. And I think it's to be a dry day tomorrow. So not saying the ground will dry out. It's not that warm at all. But it's still going to be a little bit of a test there at Hamilton. 3 horses are picked out on Sunday's card after the decks came out today. 2:30, I'll say go for Colconda Prince for Hannigan and Fahey, and that one again, I think that's a horse that will like the ground. Mick Channon's always one to take note when he sends up. He's maybe not been as regular at Hamilton as he used to be, but he's sending up a few runners there on Sunday. It's good to see actually in Sunday's card. There's William Haggis has got a. No, I mean it's not like a very prestigious Hamilton card, but it's the only flat racing there is on Sunday in the UK. So that's maybe playing in the minds. Also, they know that the ground's a bit more testing, and some of the trainers have been crying out for that. So they're maybe sending up their runners to get those desired conditions. Sir Matt Prescott's got a runner. I noticed Roger Varian sending up one as well. So it's really good to see that for a Sunday card at Hamilton. As I say, not a lot of prestigious races in there. A couple of Class 4 handicaps, but yeah. In that 3:05, it's a sailor, but Mick Channon's ending up Can 62, and he just loves the mud, and so I fancy that will run well. And in the last of 5:10, Pammy was touched off, just get beat in at Ayr on yesterday, and he's run well at Hamilton previously for Jim Goldie, and I think he could. He's not going to spring a surprise, but I think he seems to be in the form of his in really good form at the moment. This horse Pammy, since Jim bought him up north, and yeah, I think he's looking to campaign this horse in the winter over hurdles. So he's he's keeping the horse going, keeping it fit for that sort of campaign in the winter. So I think he seems to be still in good heart and could run well in the 5:10. Right, so that's a wrap up of that. Remember, there's more on Monday action at Hamilton as well. They've got a family day there. I think the weather's to be pretty good for that as well. So take the kids along. It's a public holiday in Glasgow and Ayrshire and Lanarkshire, I would imagine as well. And I think then there's racing the 30th of September at, but that's further down the line, and we'll get to that. Musselburgh, I think I've got another meeting as well, but these are the final two meetings of the season for Hamilton, on Sunday and Monday, and yep, it'll be, imagine if they get a good weather on Sunday, they'll get a decent crowd because of the bank holiday weekend, and obviously tomorrow at Ayr. I don't know if it's sold out. I don't know if you can turn up in the day and get a ticket to get in, maybe just for the grandstand. I think club enclosure is sold out, but if you're going along, it's a massive event. Of course, it is. It always is a big social thing for many folk, not in the west of Scotland, because a lot of people come down from Glasgow. So it's going to be a big day tomorrow. It's always busy. A few drinks partaken, of course there is, but it's always a jovial atmosphere at Ayr, and there's really good racing on show as well, of course there is. So best of luck to anyone that's going along, or if you're just watching it at home or in the pub or wherever it may be, enjoy your Gold Cup. I will certainly do so myself, and hopefully we get a few winners. I'll be back next week to look at next week's racing. I think we've got Haydock and Newmarket, so look forward to that. But for the moment, CopaLoad of Racing.